Hello everyone, my name is Jon Solomon, and in 20 days I'll be receiving my BA in Communication, joining the rest of the graduates here. So again, thank you. Before I begin formally, I want to thank the people who helped me get here. My parents, Ariel and Jon Solomon, my sister, Jessie, my grandpa, Lowell, my friends, professors, instructors, advisors, and all the other support that I received while I was here at the University of Washington. Without you, I definitely would not be here right now, and even if I were, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish the things that I have without you, so thank you once again. I'd like to think that I've been able to do a few things here at the University of Washington. In our student government, the ASU I was the personnel director this year. I've also participated in the student senate, as well as UW Leaders, the leadership development program of the student government. I've also been an active member of the Khmer Student Association, even though I'm not Cambodian, I'm just Filipino, but it's been a lot of fun with them too. It wasn't until the summer before my senior year that I joined up with FASA, becoming a mentor in Project Family, and eventually participating in a wider variety of events, including karaoke, performing in the ASU talent show with FASA for All, and helping out with Filipino American Graduation. My parents have always been very supportive of me and the decisions that I've made, but they asked me a pretty important question after watching Filipino Night a couple weeks ago. They asked me if those people that were performing and helping out with the show were people that I was close with, and I said yes. Those people are some of my closest friends. My dad followed it up with, well, what took so long? Assuming that, why did it take me so long to start joining up with activities with FASA that were rooted in Filipino culture, rather than other cultures, or sticking with the student government? In retrospect, I can see why my dad had been confused. To be honest, I think I wanted to play it safe. I think that a lot of people enter college with a fairly good idea of who they are and who they'd like to be. After all, most of us spend 4 years in high school or in other institutions, constantly defining and redefining ourselves before finally arriving here. In high school, I was the student government guy, so when I got here, that's what I started with at first. And for a while, that's all that I did. To try new things, you have to be comfortable, or at least feel comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. A good friend of mine, Jason, from the student government also suggested that I check out the Khmer Student Association with him, and so I did. And that's what got me involved in not one, but 2 of their New Year shows. The people were friendly, and the causes they believed in were causes that I supported. It was easy because I had an in. Finding my own place in my own culture wasn't as easy, and it took a lot of time. But I'm glad that I took the steps that it finally took for me to get to where I am today. In my high school, at least when I was there, and I know the captain will agree with me, you could count the number of Filipinos on 2 hands, or maybe even on 1 hand. Outside of parties and family gatherings of my own family, I didn't have a network of Filipino people to interact with on a regular basis. It really wasn't that important to me. I had 2 modes. I had my school mode and my family mode. There were parts of my identity that had their place in my family, and parts that had their place when I was in school. Yes, there were commonalities, and yet there were so many pieces that I couldn't share with the other, particularly when it came to my family side, trying to cross over to the school side. I mean, how many times have you had the experience where you brought your mom to school and people asked you what it was before either pretending to sound like they wanted to try it, saying that it was gross, or trying to say something neutral like, oh, that's so interesting. That being said, I needed an extra push in the right direction once I got to college, and I got one in 2008 when my family went to the Philippines to visit my grandparents. Though I had been before, this was the first time that I was able to go and really appreciate the experience that I had. Because of various circumstances, like my parents speaking it at home with our relatives and family and friends, I could understand smoking Tagalog was all right, but I couldn't produce a meaningful sentence of it to save my life. It is a very humbling experience to be in a place where you can understand what is being said to you, but have no ability to use your own voice and express yourself when it comes down to it. I suppose I should count myself lucky that the Philippines happens to be a country that also employs English alongside other languages. When I got back to the States, I decided that I wanted to change that. I started taking pre-intensive mixed Tagalog class here at the University of Washington at the beginning of my junior year, and I really didn't have any idea what to expect. 6 classes and 30 credits later, I'm about to finish the intermediate series, and I'm well on my way on the road to finally becoming bilingual, sort of. I've had a lot of fun learning the language and making it real and usable for me, and I know that by continuing to use it, I might actually hang on to it. But just as importantly, the Tagalog class was the first free link I had to other Filipino people my age, outside of my family and our family friends. It was the beginning of building my own network, and I'm happy While we all have our ambitions to do different things, we found ourselves on parallel paths, going through our lives as University of Washington students, navigating our educational system on our way to our futures. I very much appreciate the company and camaraderie I have with my fellow Tagalog classmates, and I'm very thankful for the time that I've been able to spend with all the people that I've met through the class. Whether they were in the class for all 6 quarters, or there for only one, it's been an amazing ride, and I'm really glad that I've been able to share it with you. Eventually, I got linked up with the Filipino American Students Association as well, through some of my friends in the Tagalog class. The first formal thing that I joined up with was Project Family, Filipino Americans mentoring and instilling leadership in our youth. Working with high school students and educational outreach and student development has been a long-standing interest of mine, so even though I didn't really know all the details of what it was at the time, I decided to volunteer to be a mentor after JR asked me for some extra help for the summer retreat. I went into the retreat barely knowing any of the mentors I was supposed to be working with, let alone any of the students, some of whom who had been in the program for 2, 3, or 4 years. But I came out of it feeling connected to everyone like we really were family. The mentors were inspiring because of their different drives to help serve students, and those mentors are among my closest friends as well. It was even more inspiring to be working with such a wonderful group of students who were socially conscious and so much energy and motivation, and students who truly cared for each other and have supported each other through whatever they were going through. I've seen my own mentees, Ravit Lee and Anthony Farron, go through so much over the past year as Ravit prepares to graduate high school and Anthony prepares to enter his junior year. And I know that all the other students have accomplishments to be very proud of as well. And I'm infinitely proud of them and cannot wait to see what they have to accomplish in the future. And I also want to give a shout out to all the Project Family students here today. I'm so proud of you and everything you've been able to do this year. So thank you very much for all of your effort. My involvement in Project Family really got the ball rolling. Since last summer, I participated in and helped out with many other events with my friends from Plaza, both formal and informal. And along the way, I've met and strengthened my relationships with all of my new friends. Whether it was singing drums and karaoke, going to football games or basketball games, practicing public speaking or streaming with Project Family, making the trek down to Portland State University for the Northwest Boston Conference, or singing Sunday morning after down to Boston for all, it's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and experiences, everyone with their own talents and special abilities, their own ambitions and dreams, and overall, I really think I've been lucky to have been part of such a great group of people. So what changed? I think that it has to do with my perspective on identity. Freshman me would not and did not really understand the value of joining cultural or ethnic student organizations. Freshman me was really focused on just a few goals, though they were and still are very admirable ones: keeping up in school and keeping up involvement in the student government. Not bad for somebody whose background had been just those things in high school. I think those basic goals kept me grounded and kept me focused through the first couple of years of college. But I'm also thankful that I realized over time that it was all right to try new things, to try meeting new people, and try taking a few risks. Things that I told myself to do constantly, but I always ended up just doing them in the same realm. There's an old saying about opportunities that says, when one door closes, another opens. But I think what happened to me is that some doors stayed open for so long that I couldn't see the other doors even when they were right in front of me. The me now is different. The me now realizes the importance of things like ethnic and culturally based student organizations. I like to think that I've grown and matured to realize that not only are these things important, but also basic things like keeping in touch with my own culture and heritage in the ways that I can is important. Keeping in touch with those people that I've worked hard to build a network with is important, and I will continue to encourage and support the people that I've met just as they have done for me. What sets this experience apart for me is that it's been my own network of people that I've met through my own experiences, apart from the network of my family and family friends. I'm not saying that either is more important than the other, but the fact that I've been able to build my own network of connections in the local Filipino community is something that I never even thought was possible, or even really thought about ever, because my connections to similarly aged Filipino peers was relatively low back in the day. And now that I have it, I can't even imagine what my day-to-day life would be without these people. Over the past couple of months, I've had the nagging feeling that I've been running out of time, and there have been a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish before I could say my time here was done. But looking back, I like to think that I did college right. I've studied the things that were important to me and were able to create and see positive change through what I've learned in a really practical way. I am not a science or engineering major, and I will not be building the next energy-efficient car or bridge, and I will not be curing cancer, diabetes, or any other major diseases. But I do have skills in communication. I've taught workshops in public speaking, and I've thank you, JR, for the opportunity